Testing. Go back. I want to maybe work on my website slightly. Yo, it's much work just to get to the office. Okay, right. I need to do bubbles because it was an ugly bug. I did actually, but I'm not sure if that uploaded properly. They seem to be there. I can probably directly link those in. I wonder if that Mac release has that bug. I hope that the last Mac build I did for the 32-bit line does not have that. It's not a serious bug, but it's problematic. Let's just see if it was. I don't think so. I think I did the change after this. What? What's going on here? What are those? Terminal shortcut. This is very strange. I know how to check. I'll just go look at the source code. Frame window, line 2569. Windows key G. Alright, man. Oopsie. Well, it's a very simple way to solve it then. We just go like so, and then we go builds. And now this build number must be not the same as that build number. T624. It should be T623. No. T65. Wanted lower. Oh, T64. No, it's not T64. It's only T62. No, it was these are photos I took recently. I want to just process them, upload them. For drawings, maybe. Okay. So yeah, the current build had a small bug where if you click on the other side, it didn't properly switch the focus. So I'm just doing a new build that fixes that. Then, yeah, and then I must. Oh, I'm not getting paired here. What's going on? I'm gonna mute for a bit because I don't feel like talking anyway, and I want to kick the fan noise up. There I go talking after muting myself. I'm saying this, yeah. It is loading 200,000 entries. I have several builds running. New Mac builds, new Windows builds, new Mac 64 builds. Okay. You know what I feel like doing? Putting on a long music stream and just streaming and working for hours. Later, not on YouTube. Yo, I feel dead. Okay. Oh yes, now I remember what I was doing and why I was doing it. It looks worrying. It's apparently normal for the CPU. Let me just check something. Can go slightly over there. What's a bit annoying is the I can lower the CPU scaling, the gigahertz of the CPU to and just keepless break gives you this thing, right? 2.8 gigahertz on CPU tools. Right, so Core i7, core speed 2.6. So it can scale to 3.8 gigahertz, but it's got a CPU multiplier, so it can scale as low as like 800 megahertz or something. If I go into power saver mode, which I don't think I'll be able to stream on, it's high performance. Let's just see what this does. 3.3, 3.4. But maybe throttling. I think it's throttling. No, yes, maybe. But what's annoying is if I set my CPU to 100, this is what's annoying in the power settings. If I leave it on 100%, then it sits at 3.8 or 3.4 and it gets hot. If I set it just 99%, so I just want it slightly lower, then it runs nice and cool, but it's way too slow. Like there's no in between. You're either at like 22 multiplier or 34, or, or 38 or something. You can't set it 30. So 99% gets you to. Let me just check. Actually, let me just double check that. Process power management. Oh wait, this is not 99. I think the other one's 99. Highish performance but help lower fan noise. Or maybe I'm wrong. So you can get to 27. Let's see what these plan settings are. Was really 99%, yeah. So So 99% of CPU, supposedly, and all you get is multiplier 27. This I don't understand. What I actually want is a multiplier. What I ideally want is for my temperature to be around 70. That's a good temperature with sort of the trade-off in performance versus taking chances with running the CPU really hot for long periods of time. That's to me a good trade-off point. It's not 60, but a 70. but it seems like I can't get there because I wonder if there's another way to fiddle with these settings, like with the Intel tools. Change advanced power settings. I don't know. Candle lighting. It's New Year. Oh. I'm supposed to light candles. Yes. Okay. Happy New Year to it's Jewish New Year. Focusing is the hardest thing ever in this day and age. We live in the age of distraction. All controls. So we don't need such a loud fan now because we're running really cool there at the 99% setting. But the 99% setting does not give me ideal performance. I want, I want at least 3 gigahertz or something. Why can't I get 3 gigahertz? Why is it? Why is 99%? Like it's not a curve like that. It's like either you got everything or it's like. Three point four, bit hot. As soon as these builds finish, it'll be much cooler. Oh, 76. Oh, it's a bit cooler now because I changed this. I can run my system on minus 0.14, but for long periods. But I've had one or two hangers that I suspect may be related. I'm not sure though. Actually, those hangers I don't think were related to this. Let me try 0.4. 1.4. I think the streaming plus building could cause a problem with that, but let's see. Okay, minus 0.14. So we lower the core voltage offset and the CPU runs cooler. But at the cost of, if you put it too low, you get stability problems. So the key is to find a nice point, a nice voltage offset that gives you optimal performance without. So if you get too far, boom, your system hangs. I want to sort of find the limit where you get. See, 75 is still okay for the CPU. Even though it's not ideal, I'd be happy at 71 now. But 75 is well within. The CPU can tolerate supposedly 100 degrees, but that is irrelevant. Anything above 80 is a bad idea, actually, for these modern CPUs to be running, sort of for an extended period. Especially, I mean, this is just, the laptop just has the stock cooling of the laptop. There's nothing special in terms of cooling. Oh yes, I wanted to see if I can, if there's other settings here. Voltage. I want to be able to fiddle with a multiplier directly. I want to say, I guess you can't. We're supposed to be able to get 3.8. Well, I'm not getting 3.8. Maybe because it's hot. I can live with that. I don't like it. Think about how complex these CPUs are. I mean, the CPU has something like 1 billion transistors. In a tiny little space. They're tiny. They're like on the order of nanometers in scale. And if even a few get damaged, it can really mess up the whole CPU. And then you're pushing the thing for long periods at like 80 plus degrees. So in theory it can handle it, but it's like, in theory a car engine can handle being hot for short periods, slightly hot for short periods of time, but if you, it's like you're gonna start damaging things. If you overly push it. Every CPU is different. It's different. Now this i7 7700HQ, apparently this is a common issue, that it runs really hot. It gets really hot. It quickly jumps into the 80s very easily. And some people were asking Intel about it, and Intel responded saying it's within, they don't see it as a problem. So I don't know what that means. Exactly. Alright, Windows Target Platform version. Well, I've been pushing this system really hard for, I had it now about, how long? 2 years? Nearly 2 years. More than a year and a half. And I've pushed the system hard. If anything is stress testing it, it's the way I've used it. Alright. Yes, that TL kernel got love should go. It's nonsense. I think. I don't think we need this. I suppose it's going to be finished in a minute or two. In any case, so it's supposing to install now within one more application. These subs, I think we need them. You only need them if you need to programmatically find the submenu again. But even then, a better way is just to store the ID, I think, if you did want to. I mean, this is a right-click menu. These items, so underscore. I don't think this is in use. Look. If we ever implement this stuff, it should be redone. Yeah. Okay. This new build must be uploaded. Signing installers. There's no difference between. Okay, there's 264 Mac ready to go. Okay. 128.137.47. So this is Mac 64. The internet here is nice and fast. The university. You can actually upload something at a reasonable speed. Yeah. And stream at the same time. Well, maybe not. Let's put them at 800. A bit more bandwidth for streaming. Store. Okay. I don't think this template stuff ever went far enough. Frankly, I think I should just delete this stuff from the code base, to be honest. Because if I did, look, I even made I don't know. Test templates. Oh look, there is a hash on here. Test. I don't know if the name test templates. Oh, it's there now. Shift F test templates, template. Okay, now something tricky here. How am I going to actually do this? Because it's annoying. Like you're concentrating and then ding. If you want to get work done, you've got to turn off everything that makes a notification, every pop-up window, everything that makes a sound, everything that rings. Anything that asks questions. Right. Okay, the builds are finished, right? There's only these builds left going, so now we're going to be running cooler. So now we can just turn that down probably a bit more and have a quieter. See, much better. Now, because that 99% has a ridiculous capping at like 27 multiplier, I can just leave the fan boost practically at 0 with a minus 14 voltage offset. Now, the problem with this thing here now that I need to fix is this becomes crashy. Basically, what I've done is I've added some more options here to override options. Okay. The how am I going to fix this? Okay, so new super user override to allow children. I need to be able to right click and do replace with, but for things that aren't in the D2D. Okay. So that's what this code does, and it does it fine and well, except this code is ugly. I don't like it. It's alright, but there's one or two parts that are ugly. And the one part that's really ugly is the way it handles. Basically, it builds this array of replace with options. Okay. and then it generates a menu for right-clicking when you right-click to give you each option. And then it generates the event, and then what it does is when it processes on the event side, and this is bad and it's not a good way to handle things. So if you're a programmer, a better way, it's on the receiving side, it receives the index, regenerates the array, and then looks into the array by the index. It's really gross because it's like if you don't rebuild the array in exactly precisely the right way, it's either going to add the wrong thing or crash. So now I've got a little crash because these new options that I've added, I added on exactly that situation. You add it on the side where you generate the menu. But now I also either have to go add all this thing, which is tedious, and make sure it matches exactly on the other side, which is really just not a good way to do things. I've got to build the fields list, do the bring all length one to front, do all that in exactly the same order, or bad things happen. That's really rather past the metadata, the actual information somehow as a parameter in a structure somewhere. The actual like do this command on that node. Associate that with a menu, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm doing it better. So this is a better way to do things. We create a little metadata structure that holds as parameters a method name. What do we do with a node? Replace with. Okay, replace this node with this element. So the actual things get passed as parameters along with the metadata. Okay. This thing should be replaced with a new one. I have one. It's an array of strings, but that's gross. I've got a new variant class that I made. Which I rather want to use. But anyway, so this is a better way to do things, but I need to do some refactoring to get this to work with a new way. This is one thing that's wrong. I need to decide what's the receiving interface. That is in principle right. There's nothing wrong with it. It calls a core node command thing and says run a replace with on the node. But the old handler did a little bit more. So I either need, and the reason it can do more is because it's, where was it done? It's done in the node replace. Why do we need this command as string thing? So here's the old handler. There's the part where it does the ugly thing that I was talking about. And that, building the array again on the receiving side after getting the index. I want to get rid of this, okay? So this is the core thing that it does, the action node replace with, which is correct and fine and good. And it does it now. It's working. Then by the new way. But it also called this stuff, which is now not working. This stuff, is stuff like the tree view interface. That's part of the UI. It's got nothing to do with, it's not a core generic node action on a DOM tree. So the core thing shouldn't know about things like tree views, because that's part of the application's user interface. Your core, that's bad design. If your core DOM tree manipulation commands know about the tree view, that's really shit design. You don't want that. It's undesirable. So basically we need a way to now also do this. And what's the most correct way? There's two ways. I could pass the command rather to a controller that calls the core command, but then it needs to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So it needs to do a couple of things. I'm trying to think what's the best way to do it. Do we call something that knows we right-clicked in the tree view? Must it be that specific? Or is all it needs to know that we... Let me just show you what I'm talking about. It'll make everything make more sense. It's much simpler. I'm just cleaning up the DTD in this woordeboek van die Afrikaanse taal. And you know, there's a bunch of elements that come from folio views that don't belong in the DTD. Some of them are hardly used anymore. There's only, like, this database is 206,000 entries and, you know, like 10, 12, 15 million nodes. But like there's this old FD bold, which is now, it's been cleaned up. There were more, but it's been cleaned up a bit. This stuff shouldn't exist. It's an old folio view bold element that is only 36 of in the whole thing. And it is a bold element, so they need to be cleaned up, refactored. And likewise, okay, there's others I'm looking for that have been deleted already. So basically I'm just going through them and I'm looking at cases like, okay, I should actually start with this because it gives you the context. Anyway, let's see where these uploads are. Okay, 2624 is uploaded. I'll go max 64, 2624. So there's a new max 64 build. I need to do 3 sets of builds. It's ridiculous. It's not ridiculous. It's just this. Yeah, this is after simplifying the build system dramatically. I have to do so many builds. Post build auto tests 2624. Okay, well that runs. It's 9. And Nano is a text editor on many Unix systems. Slightly user friendlier than VI, but it's not ideal. 264, 264. So this build here 479 also had this little bug which I want to fix, and that's for this new build that's running 262 is to fix that. Okay. I was hoping I would never ever have to do another 32-bit Mac build ever again, but I was wrong. But yeah. The reason being is I've now totally refactored the whole latest source code for 64-bit Mac builds, and it's a huge job to now take the latest version and refactor it again to work again on 32 bits. Not a huge job, but it's a waste of time. I ideally don't want to do it. I ideally want to restrict new. If I have to do 32-bit Mac builds again, it should be for critical bug fixes only. So I'm not going to even re-get the latest source code. I'm just going to keep the snapshot of the source code as it was at the time of build 2479, and then just add critical bug fixes only. Now that's why I wasn't sure what build number to use earlier when I decided to settle on 2622. It's not a true 2622 because 2622 was basically the latest source code with all the 64-bit fixes. But 2622 now, the one I'm doing, is actually 2479 plus 1 critical bug fix. Anyway, whatever. You get the idea. So 2624 CP minus R 26 recursive copy CP's copy CP minus R recursive copy 2624 to beta. That's also a bit weird. I shouldn't be doing that. There's a lot of small things I shouldn't be doing. 264, but I want to fix. Okay. Alright, so back to this story. So what I'm doing here, I need to replace with these FD bolds must be replaced with like a normal bold. So I want to right click and do replace with normal bold, but it's not in the DTD. And I couldn't add it to the DTD because there were users on. That's why I ended up doing this other thing. Alright. I've got this option the super user mode where you can say, okay, I'm super user, allow me to add child with no child relation, even though I know, because I know it's the desirable thing. This must be replaced with a normal bold. Okay. So I ended up adding, so basically if you have super user mode enabled, then you get all these extra options, these super user options. These are the ones that crash, boom, 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 because of the index story. But I'll fix that now. And then, yeah, these ones work, but they don't do, the new ones work with the new way, but they don't do this. They only do this. This is the important thing. But they, so if I do replace with the, with a B, which is what I want to do, boom, it works, but look, it selects the wrong node in the tree view, because it doesn't do this thing of select the new node. So now the wrong node is selected in the tree view. So it worked. It replaced that FD bold with a B, which is what I want, because I want to get rid of the FD bolds and replace them with Bs. But it's not doing this now yet. So there's two ways I can solve that. I'm not sure what's more correct. Option one, instead of letting the core thing handle the replace command, I create a wrapper for right-click commands in the tree view. Tree view right-click, replace with. And that thing can call the core thing and then do that. Basically exactly what I'm doing now, but slightly refactored. It's not wrong. The question is, now imagine this is not, imagine something else does a replace with. Let's say I'm a Lua script and I've got a Lua script. Let's say this FD bold is selected in the tree view, and I'm sitting there and I've got something like a Lua script that runs in the background every half an hour and replaces FD bolds with Bs. Okay, this is a stupid hypothetical, but it's like, it's how just to think about design, like what if we had a requirement that involves doing it that way, like then so suddenly this timer comes along and the script runs and calls replace with on that. What should we do? Do we just call the same action and jump onto the wrong node like it does there? There could be more disastrous results. There could be a dangling pointer in the user interface. The limit tree could have keep a dangling pointer if we don't do it right. Do we want it to act as if we right-clicked? I guess it may depend on situation to situation. In some cases we may want it to, and in some cases we may not. Yes. Yes. It may depend. I think we should think of it as low level as possible, unless we need to do specific user interface stuff. But what I'm thinking is maybe we should pass this command to the controller. Or let's see what the thing that handles it now. Alright. Does that make sense? Actually, it's not that simple, because how do we know what the new node pointer is? If this is being done through a generic node action system. What I'm actually thinking is we should have something like a controller. There is something like that. We have a controller. So the controller can handle this command. And the controller could say, okay, before it runs the command, check if we're about to run it. Check if this node is selected in the tree view in the user interface. Just thinking about design wise, that's the right thing to do. Okay. Oops. And then it's like is it selected? Okay. Then we could then say if it So check if it was selected. Is selected. Now it was. If it was selected, then do these things because we know it's the selected node. That way, if we did this way, I like that because this is quite. It should be quite a fast check as well. So if we're doing millions of these, that's also something else we need to think about. If some script calls us on 20 million nodes, how fast slow is it going to be? And this is not a slow check. It's not too slow to check if something's selected, I don't think. It's actually quite efficient, should be quite efficient to check if it's selected. If you do it right, then selected node has been deleted. Then basically, even if we run it on 20 million nodes, just smartly, it'll know exactly that one was a selected node in the tree view. So we call that stuff so that it's correctly, what it should actually look like is this very first option, but see what it does. Because the very first option is implemented using the old way, the index, and look what it does. The node that node that was selected gets deleted and replaced with another new node, because that's what the command does, replace with. And so the moment that the old one gets deleted, the tree view responds by saying, oh, the selected node has been deleted, so we unselect it. That's why in the other way I've done it, it jumps, the selection jumps there and it loses the selection. What we really should have is a smarter replace in the node tree, but we don't. A replace is implemented as 2 steps: remove, add. If the replace was 1 step, an event on its own, this would be simpler. Which is another way we could look at this, but I don't have a lot of time to spend on this. I just need to fix these FT bolds. So if we do it something like this, really generic. The only tricky part about this is it tricky? No, it's not tricky. It is tricky in the sense of I want to build a super nice generic. These node actions, I'm trying to genericize them further. We've got some gems of generic node action concept in the code, and it's really useful. I want to genericize it further so that node actions can be linked to almost anything. So like node is first child, you could say, all right, find all nodes that are the first child and run, and this is what we have. We have this actions system. So if I could have a registry of like 100, a little factory or registry of 100 different node actions, and replace with could just be one of them, that whole system could be nicely genericized. And if you could link node actions, like it's really powerful. I do it in the new search filter stuff. It's a very powerful idea, like the new DJ node. Like your search, find nodes that contain certain text, run a node action on them. It's really powerful. Like the number of combinations of conditions versus actions is like exponentially multiplied. So the repository stuff, commands like pull rug have been implemented here. So this is almost there. Well, not almost there, but it's going in that direction as well. This parser search stuff, you can search for really arbitrary things and then run a list of actions, but it's implemented as this giant if else. So I want to replace this system also with that same generic action system, and all these become generic actions. And as soon as they become generic actions, we should be able to link the tree view right click to generic actions as well. It's not that simple because how do you handle parameters, but the basic idea is there. It's a very powerful idea. The question is, we should handle this. Okay, it was selected. And if it was selected, the selected node has been deleted, and if we tree, Now the controller doesn't have a pointer to the tree per se, but it can get it. It's a bit weird. Seems very specific. Shouldn't the tree be handling this as some sort of event? But there isn't an event. There's not a replace with event. I see the videos don't play by default now. I wonder if that's a YouTube change or a WMW change. Better for bandwidth. Interesting. Okay. I need a 5-minute break. Top up my coffee, get some sun. Alright, did I link those new builds in properly? Mac 64. Okay, how do I get these now? I wonder if, I wonder if this will work. The new macOS X doesn't have FTP. I don't know if this FTP, which FTP, either one FTP, maybe come from ports. Anyway, FTP volumes, storage. If this FTP works, but I'm not sure it will because of various things. Look, I need to replace 36 FTs with FT bolts, but okay, here's the problem. And I guess I also actually want to. Alright, that's not gonna weld now. Put these off here now. It's a bit of a pain, this whole. Oh wait, I'm on the university network. I've got some damn issues with this VirtualBox networking right now. So not everything is working properly. I have to. The networks option is not working. I don't know exactly what happened. Somehow, when I joined the university domain, yeah, it now only works when I'm on the university domain, I think. Somehow I joined the university domain, and now even when I'm not in the domain and I don't log into the domain and I've turned everything that I can find off to do with the domain, my Linux VirtualBox somehow, the stupid systemd replacement for the old DNS stuff, yeah, picks up. Long story, it doesn't matter, I don't want to talk about it, it's a waste of time to talk about it. Let me just see if this works. I just need to copy these builds. It really annoys me, like, these things were working 20 years ago. You know, these are solved problems 20 years ago. And the new generation of programmers has taken Linux and broken everything that used to work. Like, re-implementing things that don't need to be re-implemented with the, you know, arrogant, inexperienced it's something else. To 5. But I have to go through weird layers. I have to, like, so now, yeah, I have to put 2 virtual machines, Windows 1 and the R6 one on the both on that network. Right. Then I'll have to, it's just to copy this damn thing. Okay. Then we have to use a shared folder to copy that. It's so tedious. Right. This is a Mac32 build. Right. Oh, it's only one thing. It's still building. My mind, it's ready, all ready to go. How do I know I didn't just copy a partial file then? What 262 is this? Why is there another 262? This must be the new Mac 64 262 that I did. What is this? What's happening here? Oh, this. Yeah, this. Right. Mac 32 262. RL. Okay. In order to do this thing, we need a new controller. Edit node action edit controller or something. Or it must go to the regular controller or the tree controller. No, it's not a tree thing. It is a tree thing. This part of it is a tree thing. Selected node has been deleted. What does that actually do? Call section window selected node has been deleted. Set selected node null. Selected entry has changed. That is just weird. That doesn't need to do that. Parent entry. If it's got one child, that's a text node. No. It'd be parent and be tree. Okay, so this is the new handler. The one that I don't want to ugly dependency because it's supposed to be generic. this little node command thing. I don't think node command, should node command know about tree views? I think there should be two layers. There should be a core that does the command that doesn't know about tree views, and then some layer on top of it that knows about tree views. I know it seems like a really simple thing. It's a small thing, in a sense. And I'm re-implementing something that already exists in the code. That's a feature that's been there for years, and it's a tiny little thing. But it's actually not a tiny little thing in a sense, because this is basically, I'm prodding at the core design to refactor a new generic node action system in a way. So it's important to do it right, or to at least move in the right direction. In programming, we don't always know where we want to go, but we can often tell roughly what direction we want to go. And that's kind of my approach to programming in a way. We don't always know exactly where we want to go in terms of our design, what classes and what they do, but we can often, we can't necessarily see 10 steps ahead in the road that we need to take, but we can often kind of tell roughly what direction we need to be going, and it, sort of vaguely move in that direction. Look, I know we need a core somewhere that can do the actions without knowing about tree views, and I know we need something higher level that does know about tree views. And if you can create temporary classes, even there's nothing wrong with that. You can create a new interim controller class. That's a step along the way in your design. So if you're not exactly sure what to do, start creating some middle. You could just even create a new class in between called the tree edit controller interim, design interim, and start adding handlers to it. And what happens is, as you start using it, as you start moving more and more things into it, you start seeing the patterns. You start saying, okay, that one needs to know this. Therefore, we actually need another higher level class. Or, that actually goes in a lower level class, or whatever. You start, as you start adding more and more actual things in it, then you get a better idea, and then you just refactor again. Just refactor. As long as you try not to close off any paths, and if you can avoid creating large amounts of spaghetti, because that makes it really difficult. Like this is slightly spaghetti. That code, that function, this is spaghetti. I mean, this. It may not be spaghetti. It may just be that I don't remember, because this might be perfectly clean design, and I just don't remember exactly its purpose. It's not clear to me. But like, select the node has been deleted, node be parent, and if your parent get num children is 1 and it's only got a text node. I kind of know what that's about, but rebuild node. That's a special case in the tree view, where if a node only has a text node, we don't add the redundant extra node in the tree view. It just makes the tree view interface really clunky. Okay, selected node has been deleted, but this is strange. Set selected node null. I mean, I understand why selected node has been deleted. You know, you can't keep the selected node. It makes sense in a way, but at the same time it doesn't make sense, and the reason it doesn't make sense is because that already happens. Oh, but you know what, we used to have in the old, actually, yeah, it already happens if we do a node replace. Okay, do replace node. Basically, an event gets called to delete the old node inside do replace node. Do replace node. At some point calls delete tree from doc, which calls node remove node, which calls remove child. Okay, and then when it actually removes a node, it calls, oh, there's two events, gross. Event node removed, and that event node removed is handled in the tree view by the section. So in other words, it shouldn't be necessary to again set the selected node to null, because this should in fact do exactly that right here. Clear the selected node. So it's going to do it twice. In this case, that also seems redundant, I don't know. Fixing auto numbering could change. So is p parent, yes, p parent is the parent. Second node has been deleted. p-tree rebuild node parents. I don't see how that's relevant. Is that relevant for the replace with case? No, because we can't do replace with on the text node, so the parent. Yes, yeah, this is not relevant for this case. So this whole thing is actually not, this serves no purpose in the replace with, I think. But this is the problem. You have this code that's years and years old, and it looks like it serves no purpose. So you comment it out, and then the next day users are reporting that something doesn't work properly anymore. That's what happened here. That's why I'm doing the new build. Because I looked last month I was looking at this code and I said, hey, this looks like it doesn't do anything important. And I commented it out. You know, it's a very old line of code. It's probably been in there like 15 years at least. And then, so I looked at it and I was like, this doesn't look like it does anything important. Why is this here in on idle? Commented out. Then users are writing in, tick, 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 help. This doesn't work properly anymore. Okay. I knew when I commented that line, I was like, okay, something might break. I had a feeling. So luckily I knew straight where to look. As soon as I got a report from a user saying this doesn't work anymore, this was the very first place I looked. Because when I did it, in the back of my mind, there was a nagging feeling that I was about to break something. Because if you write code, you think you're going to remember your own code, but it doesn't work like that. You forget your own code when you work over long periods of time for many years on a code base. So you think, oh, I'll remember what I did because I did it. It doesn't work that way. It's like, anyway, that's... So when the user reported it, it's like, okay, I can fix this really easily. It literally takes 2 minutes to fix, but then it takes like hours to do new builds and on all the different platforms and to upload the builds because the internet sucks. So I have to drive 40 miles to get good internet. Literally, I'm not joking. Anyway. So like the build to fix the bug took an hour to fix it and do new builds. But now to upload the builds takes 24 hours later because I couldn't do it on the internet. I had to literally wait till the next day, drive 40 miles to find a good internet connection. That's one of the wonderful things about operating in South Africa. But anyway, doesn't help to whine. It's really frustrating when it takes you 5 minutes to fix a bug. 45 minutes to do new builds with a new bug fix. And then like 20, 40, 48 hours to get them on the internet to users. Just because the internet is so damn crap in the country. But I feel better now that like if I'm in Israel or in Europe, it's much easier just you got new builds, upload them easily, quickly. But yeah, at the university, the internet's good. I'm, at Stellenbosch University right now, and I'm happy with the internet. Yeah, this is the best internet I've ever used in South Africa, ever. I think they link directly to, not directly, but they're very close to they must be linked straight into the major peering points that then run directly to the fiber optic cables that go under the ocean, and they must have good peering arrangements, and because it's nice internet here. It's the first time in South Africa I've been thought, okay, this is good internet. I once had good internet at a hotel a big hotel chain in, the big French hotel chain, Mercure. Mercury, or they call it, yeah. A few years ago, I stayed at a couple of years ago. I stayed at one in Joburg, and they had good internet. Not as good as this. Not as good as this university's internet, but it was also like, oh wow, this is good for South Africa. I remember doing speed tests, and I was like, it was like, it was something like 40 megabits down and 20 megabits up, or something like that. And I was like, okay, for South Africa, this is quite good, and I could stream and everything. But since I got here in April, I've been using this university's internet, and it's really the first time I've been, I'm like, okay, this is internet I can actually use. It's real internet. It's the first time ever actually in South Africa. It's not just about being fussy. I mean, it's not, oh, you spoiled, blah, blah, blah. No, there's, if you're running a software business, it's like, you need it. It's something you use all day. It's like, you literally, I wouldn't say you can't operate, but it's like, anyway, so now we got the Mac 64 builds. New Mac 64 builds with a fix, with the important fix, and I updated. And I think I should delete now those older ones. Let me just check the sizes, make sense. 23, 35, 120, 25, 35. Same as before. Yeah. We're a bit low on space on the server, so I'm going to delete these older ones. We don't need 263 now. Now, 262 is going to be a slightly different case, because Corteo Corpus. So this is Mac. This 262 is Mac 32. These two are Mac 32s. Okay. Corpus and database. Huh? Yikes! This is why I don't like reusing build numbers. That's why I was really unsure about reusing that build number at the start of this session. These should be deleted. Those are nonsense. Okay. No, these are the real 262s. So dangerous. Okay. But then, huh? What is this doing there? Oh, I uploaded that last night in my sleep. I obviously wasn't thinking straight, because that's the wrong folder. Okay. Right, so the Mac 32 builds, this is new Mac 32, but Mac builds, hopefully the last builds ever. That's what I said last time. I don't want to waste my time ever producing these ancient Mac 32. You know, it's like for macOS 10.5. I want to break. I'm gonna come back stream on Twitch later with so yeah, this design, that's really what I need to just, I think what I must do is maybe just create, like I said, a little interim class, or just put it for now. I want to put it for now just in the controller, but I'm worried I'm going to forget about all the design thoughts bouncing around in my head. It's easy to just throw it in the controller, and that's what technically I should just throw it somewhere, like either in the controller or in the preview or the editing, and that's what I should do. But I'm worried I'm going to forget then about it. I'm worried I'm going to forget that I was busy thinking about the design. But I did determine that I think that other line of code is not important in this case, right? The selected node has been deleted thing. So for the specific case, at least. So the only thing that is important maybe is this. And why is it important? That is important because it was selected and is being replaced. So it's an open question. If you do replace node on the selected node by some means other than right-clicking, is that different to doing it right-clicking? Should the behavior be different? Like, if you right-click on a node and say replace with, then yes, the user wants the new node selected. End of story. There's no debate, okay, design-wise. But let's say that story I was saying, you've got a background script, Lua script that runs every 30 minutes. And that script just suddenly, the user's just looking at a node and it's selected. And the script changes it and calls replace node. Is it then okay to bump the selection onto something else? It's more acceptable. Well, actually, good question. It's not just selecting, it's also the ensure visible. So let's say the user scroll down the tree view so that the selected node is not even visible. What's going to happen is that it's two different things actually. It's going to jump. It's going to scroll. The moment that background thing does a change, it's going to cause the scrolling. This isn't a real problem. It's not like all users have background scripts running all day. They don't. So in a sense, this is an imaginary problem. But in a sense, it's also not. The one scenario where things like this happen is with network editing. You can be sitting and looking at an entry and another user edits it and saves the entry. That's not the same though as calling replace with, and that's handled differently anyway. Okay, so I've determined I'm not too worried about this, but I do maybe, and this. This we definitely want to do though for the right click. We want to do it. For the right click case. Yeah, I think if the user has scrolled off the view, but the selected node gets replaced by a script, probably the correct behavior is to select the replaced node, but not to ensure visible. So it is actually different, if you read, I think, but in a very subtle way. The reason I think that is because, wait, what is it? Look, I think conceptually replace with should be regarded as an atomic operation. It just happens to be that we do a delete and we do an add node. In fact, we first do the add node. So what will happen is the tree view will get a new node, and then temporarily, it'll happen so fast you can't see it. Temporarily both nodes are in the tree view, and then the original node gets deleted. And the other nodes get moved, which is probably actually a bunch of other events. So a whole lot of events happen. They happen really quickly. You don't really see this happening. But it causes aberrations like the scroll position jumps of the tree view, and that's really annoying. I want to get rid of those. Those tree view aberrations are really bothering me. Like, you'll do array replace, and everything will work correctly except, like, you know, the scroll position will jump wrong, or just jump. Even the fact that it jumps slightly, you know, even if it does this, boom, it's enough to jar your brain out of what you're looking at. So I don't like it, even if it's there and suddenly it's there. Let me see what happens. Right click, replace with n. Okay, this particular case isn't doing that, but there are some actions that do, and I want to try fix it. That's why this is bothering me as well, because I want to solve this generally in a way. So like, let's say we move that down, that's fine and well. Or let's say we move it up with a keyboard. That's also fine and well, none of that's wrong. So when is it wrong? When is it bad? Right click, pull rug. Right click, pull rug. That's also fine. Which ones were wrong? There were edit actions where the tree view jumps horribly. I think insert text after is one of them. Yes, insert text after. Look at that, it's horrible. It's no. Right? Insert text after. Yeah, it's not wildly off, but like even just 3 scroll positions is enough to make your eye be like, well, what just happened? And then you have to try. I really don't like that. So it's not critical in any sense, but it upsets me that my users have to experience that. And the reason there's another thing that's annoying me is also Windows behavior of, like, I can't remember when it happens, but you end up, I think if I select, yeah, like if I'm there, like in my case, in this particular case, like if we select that, yes, that irritates the hell out of me. The fact that it jumps the scroll like that, it is so stupid and so wrong for this application. And the tree view control is just this black box. I don't know if it's Windows or WX widgets, but I'm not sure if I can turn it off. I can probably try disable the scroll view, the horizontal scrolling entirely. It's really irritating, because suddenly you can't see these nodes properly, what they are. And like there you can. You know, the information here is the least important information. So I cannot stand the way it's doing this, and it makes me look stupid, because my users then, you know, some of my users may be also irritated by it, and then they think, oh, this TLex software, why don't they just fix that? It's not so easy. I want to maybe try some options like disable right-click scrolling. Alright, so what should I do in the meantime for this? Move this handler into a two-part handler, or move it into two layers. Oh, wait, what? But we need a core one as well. That's the weird thing about this. We need a core. The real problem here is that this operation is not atomic. So we end up with a new and an add and a move around and a delete. But from the events alone, we have no way to know that that sequence of actions was replaced with. So we have no easy way to know what is the new thing we need to select. Unless we semantically know it was replaced with action, which I don't like, it's gross. Maybe we need a replace with event. Let me go think about it while I take a small break. I'm gonna go just get 5 minutes of sun while there's still some sun.